All right, folks, welcome to VIP Pre-Market Prep. Yesterday, we had CPI coming in light. Today, we have FOMC meeting, I believe, at 2 p.m. and then 2:30 p.m. presser. So what are they going to do with the rates? I think 50 basis points is a consensus at this point. Now, going back to yesterday, you can see we're kind of flat this morning. Yesterday was a very challenging day to trade. We talked about it in post-market wrap, but it did end up holding its gains. SPY, well, being up for the day rather. So SPY and QQQ ended up being up for the day. But very importantly, TLT was sharply green yesterday and UUP was sharply red, which showed that the expectations of lower interest rates was there. And to back that up, data coming out of Bloomberg, people were now talking about 25 basis point cut in February. The chances of 25 rather than 50 dramatically increased. Also, the terminal rate dropped a little bit. So that all tells you that despite that big drawdown yesterday from the open on SPY and QQQ, and man, was that big from 410 to 401. Despite that, most people were thinking that interest rates were going to be heading lower, and that was also good for risk assets. Very funny. ARKK did rebound off that bottom, but really, I don't know. Did it eke out a green there? It may have eked out. Well, no, it didn't even eke out a green. Very close to break even on ARKK. So a little bit of a frustrating action yesterday trading. We're going into another risk event 2:30 p.m. today, so be careful with that. You may want to be in higher cash position. You may want to have a hedge. Something I want to point out. I posted a graphic last night in the VIP trading room about a longer term outlook on inflation. That this is just phase one, and in the 70s there were 3 phases of inflation, and this might be the end of phase one. But we're going to have 2 more phases if history repeats itself. And what happened in the 70s? Gold went up a lot. So I pulled up a gold chart, and I noticed that gold gapped above the 200 DMA yesterday, and also trying to close above the 50-week moving average. So this is something to think about. If you think the problem with inflation is that a supply issue, really, it's not so much a demand. You have the Fed trying to control it with lowering demand, but the issue is shortage of supply chains, reliance on China, all this kind of stuff. I believe, that can only really be fixed with federal government policy and bring supply back on. So we could be having a problem with inflation for a decade with raw materials, going through the whole system and eventually impacting salaries and everything else. So gold, potentially, you can see the gold really popping up yesterday with that lower expectation of interest rates, which are good for gold. This is something to look into. This is a 2 long-term trend lines that's trying to break out of the 200 DMA and the 50-week MA. Maybe something to consider. I'm not saying that's a trade or anything. It's going to be very volatile, very hard to trade gold like on a daily intraday basis, something like that. That's not what I'm here to tell you. But potentially with that long-term trend line, something you want to think about for your long-term portfolio. We got to look at Apple and Tesla when it comes to QQQ and SPY. So Apple, it's just a lot of chop around these key moving average levels. We got to keep an eye on this in case we do have a earnings re-rating in 2023 that could take down the NASDAQ, the SPY down 20% or so. If Apple takes it down, that's always a possibility. Right now, no immediate warning signs back up here above the 50, the DMA. Tesla, however, Tesla is now below the 200-week moving average. Now, it's just a hair below it, but this is pretty dangerous. But what's more important is where it closes Friday. If we close below this this pink line on Friday, then we could be in trouble for Tesla. The next support level is 150, right in there. This congestion area, if you zoom into it, you can see a lot of support candles at around the $150. Where'd it go? I zoomed in too much, but it's there. It's right in there. It's from 2020, October 2020 area. A bunch of support candles at 150 before it took off. Bunch of resistance candles there at 150 before it took off. That's your support level. So Tesla not looking great right now. I did end up selling my swing position for a loss. And Pfizer, thank you, Tony, for bringing this to our attention yesterday. One of few stocks that really held its gains from the morning open to the morning close. Everything else was like straight down. Not everything. There was a couple others that did well yesterday. DocuSign, MobileYe, so we'll get to those. But Pfizer this morning up a little bit of pre-market. Tony shared some information about the Paxlovid orders now going into China, which seems to be the catalyst for the stock going up here this week. DocuSign did really well yesterday. Another rare stock yesterday that closed higher than it opened. I believe, yep, open green candle over there on DocuSign. I'm looking for a swing move on this to $65 to $67 near the 200 DMA after the strong earnings. MobileYe also with the upgrade yesterday from who was it, JP Morgan with a $50 price target. Another stock which, well, not an open green candle, closed green. It was a green candle, but it did. This stock, I guess, it had a really good open yesterday morning, but this was really good. I was trading this with Yosef yesterday in a room. Like every time it dipped down, it went straight back up. I mean, this is like day traders heaven stock yesterday. A lot of resistance at 35. You can see it on the chart. So I'm going to be watching this closely to see if it can break out of 35 today. But when it comes to DocuSign and MobileYe and all these other stocks we're about to look at, it's really a lot going to be dependent on how the market reacts to the Fed at 2 to 2:30 p.m. I don't see, by the way, a lot of strong pre-market movers. I don't see any big specific company news that's going to move a stock despite what the market does. So today there's going to be a lot of chop and moving with the market. Don't see anything that's really going to take one of the stocks we're familiar with and say, hey, this factor is going to overcome any macro factor. Don't really see that today. Now, some stocks we're looking at since yesterday, CTMX. I actually tripled my position yesterday because I really like this setup with the RSI, trying to flip back towards the upside here. Hopefully the MACD is kind of almost done on the being red over there. And the 20 DMA, trying to break out of the 20 DMA. And why? Because we have the fundamentals. Also, we talk about story trading. We have the fundamentals and sentiment of the Regeneron deal, right? I'm not just, if this was any old stock and they had no Regeneron deal, I wouldn't be interested in buying this 20 DMA. That's what a technical trader does. Good for them. Let them at it. But here we need to understand the story. We want to know what the tailwinds are. We want to have some confidence that the fundamentals are good, that the sentiment's in the right direction. So that's why I dramatically increased my CTMX position yesterday, looking for a breakout of the 20 DMA towards 180. And hey, look, if it doesn't work out, it could go back towards 150, right? So your downside is, hey, that's kind of a false breakout of 20 DMA if we're wrong, and it's going to head back towards 150. And if we're right, maybe today it could break out towards 180. That's a play I'm making. It is. I did look up the EV. It's like a negative 80 or negative 90 million EV, even after the deal with Regeneron. So I think that could potentially help as well. Push this towards the upside, or just have a better risk reward. You can look at it that way. Clearfield yesterday, a little bit disappointing. Wow, I had that big open. I waited patiently for the pullback. I started buying below 105, expecting like a V-shaped recovery in the afternoon. Didn't happen. So we just got to have patience. We just got to wait. We know the fundamentals on this are really good. Check out the interview with the CEO. If you haven't seen it yet, go to youtube.com/storytrading. And you can see the interview with the CEO of Clearfield. And if that doesn't convince you, then I don't know what will. So take a look and make your own decision on Clearfield. LIACF, wow, 207 bid this morning. Man, this one, not disappointing. I did end up getting a position back in the afternoon. 225 is my target on this. So 225, you can see that right about, well, where did I get that level from? I got it from this resistance right here, which is around 212. And you know what? I just went into this area here, right here, where it looked like 225. It was initially resistance. It shot up, and then at 225 again. It just seems like a key pivot point here before that big spike. So 225 is my immediate target on this. 207 bid already this morning, LIACF, and this has a very strong catalyst with this. Maybe this is one that can do well today despite market conditions. It already has that strong bid in pre-market, and this one has shown that the pre-market action has been very indicative of how the stock does during the day. So watch LIACF closely for a possible move to 225, maybe even today. 217 is your first resistance, though, and then 225 after that on LIACF. CTLP, I'm looking for a move back towards for the recent highs after that investor day. So 425 to 430, just like we called the other day. 425 to 430, looking for that again, 425 to 430, and then we'll take it from there. Eventually, I'd like to see this break that and make a move towards the 200 DMA, but I don't think it's going to happen all at once. I do like the RSI is kind of low here. So CTLP and LIACF, two stocks that I do like, despite no specific catalyst this morning. They're both looking good for better risk reward and continuation to the upside. Waiting on TBLA, TBLA. It's in between two key moving averages, support at 250, resistance at 310. I'll be looking to sell as it gets closer to 310, and if it gets closer to 250, that's an area you can buy. That looks like an easy levels there on Tableau. Chewy and Dix didn't work out yesterday. We'll continue monitoring them throughout the day, see if there's any opportunities in them. Identiv had some news this morning. You can see the bid is up to 775 this morning. Nothing I don't think that should be market moving, but keep an eye on it. Identiv introduced a SaaS platform, bitc.io, creating a digital identity for every physical object. It looks very interesting. This is a very, very interesting company, but they've had trouble this past year growing their earnings, and it's got punished. They basically vacillating between break even and a small profit, break even and a small profit. So tough for this company to financially break out. But Identiv, we've interviewed the CEO many times. Some interesting news. Take a look at that to keep informed, and we'll get StoryTrading, keep an eye on it, and maybe bring back the CEO at some point. So that's all we're going to cover today on this morning show. You can see we're monitoring those other stocks, air, and everything else. But as far as this morning goes, it's really all about the Fed decision at 2/230. Gold, something interesting to consider maybe for the longer term. We're going to be looking at MBLY, CTMX, LIACF, CTLP. Those are going to be my top things to look at today. So going to get going here and have another meeting with my colleague here to get deeper into these picks and define the risk levels on each one of these to give us a better trading edge for the day. And we'll kind of maybe keep you informed on how that goes as well. So I'll see you back at 4:30 p.m. Well, we'll do a quick post-market wrap at 4, and then we'll be on Zoom if anyone wants to do collaboration on anything. There's a specific, usually only 2 or 3 people show up every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m., and that's just fine. That's a perfect crowd to dig into a specific stock. If there's a stock you're interested in, you want to teach us about, you want to learn more about, we'll pull up our screen share. We'll do research together. It's always a really informative, good session we have every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. So I hope to see the VIPs there, and I will talk to you in the rooms. Good luck today, guys.